Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're looking at a discovery that's really shaking up how we think about the Earth's core.
Oh yeah, this one's a big one.
It involves some pretty unexpected ingredients. We're talking diamonds, iron, and get this, helium.
Helium, you mean that stuff that makes balloons float?
That's the one. But as it turns out, helium isn't just for party tricks anymore.
No, not at all. This research is showing us that helium might play a much bigger role in the story of our planet than we ever imagined.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but before we get too deep into that, can you set the scene for us? Like, what exactly were the scientists doing that led to this discovery?
Well, they were working with a pretty amazing piece of equipment called a laser-heated diamond anvil cell.
A diamond Anvil cell. That sounds intense.
It is. Essentially, it's a device that uses diamonds to squeeze materials together under incredible pressure.
So they were putting the iron and helium under a lot of pressure.
A lot is an understatement.
Yeah.
We're talking pressures equivalent to 50,000 to 550,000 times the pressure we experience at the Earth's surface.
Whoa, 550,000 times.
Mm.
That's hard to even wrap my head around. To put that into perspective, what would that kind of pressure do to, say, a car or a building?
It would obliterate them. I mean, to give you an idea of the forces involved, think about iridium.
Iridium. Isn't that one of the strongest metals out there?
It is. It's so tough it's used in things like spark plugs because it can withstand those extreme temperatures. But even iridium would melt under the conditions they were creating in the lab.
Okay, so we're talking some serious pressure and heat here.
Absolutely. And what they found is that under these incredibly harsh conditions, something remarkable happens. The iron actually bonds with the helium.
Yeah, hold on. They bonded. But isn't helium supposed to be like the poster child for unreactive elements, the inert gases?
Exactly. That's what makes this discovery so groundbreaking. Helium was always thought to be chemically inert, meaning it wouldn't react with anything. But this research is turning that assumption on its head.
So helium and iron together, like a cosmic power couple we never knew about.
Kind of. And it wasn't just a tiny bit of helium either. The iron compounds they created contained 3.3% helium.
3.3%. That may not sound like a lot, but
It's huge, especially considering that previous studies had only observed trace amounts, like 5,000 times less than what they found here.
wow. So this isn't just a minor tweak to our understanding of helium. It's a major shift in our thinking about how it behaves under extreme conditions.
Precisely. And remember, those extreme conditions are pretty relevant when we're talking about the Earth's core.
Right. I mean, we're talking about a place with immense pressures and temperatures. Are you suggesting that there could be significant amounts of helium bound to iron deep inside our planet?
It's a definite possibility. And if that's the case, it raises some really interesting questions about the Earth's formation and evolution.
Okay, hold that thought, because I definitely want to dive into that more. But first, you mentioned volcanoes earlier. How do they fit into this whole helium puzzle?
Ah, yes. Volcanoes are a fascinating piece of this puzzle because they sometimes release a rare type of helium called helium-3. Now, most of the helium we encounter in our daily lives is helium-4.
So there are different types of helium? What's special about helium-3?
Well, helium-3 is considered primordial, meaning it's a relic from the very early days of our solar system.
So it's like a time capsule from billions of years ago.
Exactly. And scientists have always thought that this helium-3 we see coming from volcanoes originated deep within the Earth, perhaps in the mantle.
Okay, but now we have this new research showing that helium can actually bond with iron under extreme pressure. Could this mean that the helium-3 is coming from even deeper, from the Earth's core?
It's a fascinating question and one that scientists are now actively exploring. If helium can indeed exist in the core, bound to iron, it could potentially change our whole understanding of where this primordial helium-3 is coming from.
So we might be talking about a vast reservoir of ancient helium hidden deep within our planet.
And this helium could hold clues about the very building blocks of our solar system. It's like having a window into the past.
This is incredible. We've gone from talking about party balloons to the formation of our planet in just a few minutes. But how in the world did scientists even figure this out? It's not like they can just go dig a hole to the Earth's core and grab a sample.
You're absolutely right. Direct sampling of the core is impossible with our current technology. So how did they do it? Well, they had to get creative. They combined high-pressure experiments using that diamond anvil cell we talked about earlier with advanced computer simulations and some incredibly clever analysis techniques.
So they essentially recreated the conditions of the Earth's core in the lab. That's some serious science.
It is. And it wasn't easy. They had to overcome a lot of challenges to not only create those extreme conditions, but also to analyze the results.
Especially with helium being so notoriously slippery. How did they keep it from, well, escaping during the experiments?
That's where the cryogenic temperatures come in. Cryogenics is the science of super low temperatures, way, way below freezing.
So think liquid nitrogen, that kind of thing.
Exactly. By cooling everything down to these extremely low temperatures, they were able to slow down the helium atoms enough to prevent them from escaping during analysis.
That's brilliant. It's like a high-tech game of freeze tag, but with helium atoms. So by combining all of these techniques, they were able to make this incredible discovery that's changing our understanding of not only Earth's interior, but also potentially how planets form in the first place.
It really is a game changer, and we're just beginning to explore all of the implications.
This is definitely a deep dive I'm glad we took. But we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to uncover. Join us in part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into the implications of this research and explore what it means for our understanding of the universe beyond Earth. Welcome back, everyone. I don't know about you, but my mind is still spinning from that first part of our deep dive. Helium bonding with iron. Who would have thought?
It really is a paradigm shift, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier that this discovery has some pretty big implications for how planets form. Can we unpack that a bit more?
Of course. So, our traditional understanding of planet formation is based on this idea called accretion. Basically, small, rocky bodies in space kind of bump into each other and stick together.
Right, like a cosmic game of snowball, just getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly. And over millions of years, those little snowballs eventually grow into planets, and that's how we think Earth formed too.
Okay, but now we have this whole new piece of the puzzle with the helium.
Right, and the presence of helium, especially in the amounts they found, suggests that there might be something more to the story. It's possible that the early Earth wasn't just passively accumulating rock and dust, but it was also actively pulling in gas from the solar nebula.
The solar nebula. Remind me what that is again?
Sure. The solar nebula was this massive cloud of gas and dust that surrounded our young sun billions of years ago. It's where our whole solar system was born.
Ah, okay, so you're saying that some of Earth's building blocks might have come from this giant cloud of gas. That's pretty wild.
It is, and it really changes how we picture the early Earth. Instead of just this clump of rock slowly growing bigger, it might have been more like a giant vacuum cleaner, sucking up material from the surrounding nebula.
Wow, a cosmic vacuum cleaner. That's a great image. But wait, if this gas capture process was happening here on Earth, could it have happened on other planets too?
That's the big question, isn't it? And if so, what does that mean for our understanding of how planetary systems evolve?
I mean, could this be why some planets have atmospheres while others don't? Or why some planets are gas giants like Jupiter while others are rocky like Earth?
Those are all excellent questions. And this research is really opening up a whole new line of inquiry into these fundamental questions about planetary formation.
This is so cool. But okay, let's back up for a second. How do scientists even study something as complex as planetary formation? We're talking about events that happened billions of years ago.
It is a challenge, but scientists have some pretty amazing tools at their disposal. They use computer simulations to model how gas and dust might have behaved in the early solar system.
Oh, like those simulations you see in documentaries where they show the planets forming and colliding.
Exactly. And they also study young planetary systems that are forming right now, observing them with powerful telescopes. And of course, they conduct experiments here on Earth, like the ones we've been talking about with the diamond Anvil cell, to recreate those extreme conditions.
Right, that incredible device that lets them squeeze materials together under immense pressure and heat. Speaking of which, I'm still a bit fuzzy on how they managed to study the helium without it, just floating away.
Yes, the escaping helium problem. Well, remember how we talked about cryogenic temperatures?
Yeah, those super low temperatures like liquid nitrogen.
Right. Well, at those temperatures, atoms and molecules move much more slowly.
Oh, so it's like slowing down the helium atoms to a crawl so they're easier to study.
You got it. By using these cryogenic temperatures, the scientists were able to basically freeze the helium in place long enough to analyze it and confirm that it was indeed bonding with the iron.
It's like a scientific game of freeze tag, but with helium atoms. I love it. So, okay, we've got this incredible discovery that helium can bond with iron under these crazy conditions, and it's changing our understanding of Earth's core and how planets might form. But what about the implications for life? You mentioned earlier that this research could also shed some light on the origins of life on Earth and even the possibility of life elsewhere.
Yes. It's a really exciting avenue of research. Remember, the solar nebula, that giant cloud of gas where our solar system was born, was made mostly of hydrogen and helium.
Right.
Well, if the early Earth was pulling in large amounts of that gas, some of that hydrogen could have reacted to form water.
So you're saying that some of the water we drink today might have come from hydrogen that originated in outer space.
It's a mind-boggling thought, isn't it? And it doesn't stop there. If this process happened on Earth, it could have happened on other planets too.
So this could mean that the building blocks of life, like water, might be more common in the universe than we previously thought.
Exactly. It really expands our view of what might be possible out there. And it adds another dimension to the search for habitable planets.
So now we're not just looking for planets that are the right distance from their star in that Goldilocks zone,
Right.
but also for planets that might have had the opportunity to capture enough hydrogen from their nebula to form water in the first place.
Precisely. It's a whole new way of thinking about planetary habitability.
This is mind-blowing. We've gone from talking about helium and balloons to the possibility of life on other worlds. This is why I love science. But, okay, let's bring it back down to Earth for a moment. What are some of the practical implications of this discovery? What kind of research do you think scientists will be most excited to pursue now?
Oh, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many directions this research can go. For starters, I think we'll see a lot more research focusing on Earth's deep interior.
Trying to figure out exactly how much helium is down there and what it's doing.
Exactly. Scientists will want to understand how helium is distributed in the core, how it interacts with other elements, and what role it might play in processes like plate tectonics and the Earth's magnetic field.
It's like we've been given this new lens to see inside our planet. And I bet astrobiologists are pretty excited too.
Oh, absolutely. Remember, we talked about how the presence of helium could be a sign that a planet captured gas from its solar nebula, which might mean a higher chance of water.
Right, so astronomers could start looking for helium as a potential biosignature, an indicator that a planet might be able to support life.
Exactly. It could become another tool in the search for life beyond Earth, alongside things like looking for oxygen or methane in a planet's atmosphere.
This is so exciting. It's like we're at the beginning of a whole new chapter in the search for life in the universe.
I agree. And who knows what other amazing discoveries are waiting for us out there.
This deep dive has been incredible. But we're not done yet. There's still more to explore. Join us in part 3, where we'll wrap up our discussion and delve into what this groundbreaking discovery means for the future of scientific exploration and our understanding of the cosmos. Welcome back, everyone. We've been on quite a journey with this helium and iron discovery. It's amazing to think how something so seemingly simple can have such profound implications.
I know, right? It really shows you the interconnectedness of everything in the universe.
Absolutely. But okay, we've talked about planetary formation, the possibility of life on other worlds, but where do we go from here? What are some of the big questions that scientists are going to be grappling with in light of this discovery?
Well, for one thing, I think there's going to be a renewed focus on studying the Earth's deep interior.
Like trying to figure out just how much helium is really down there and what it's doing.
Exactly. We need to understand how helium is distributed in the core, how it interacts with other elements, and what role, if any, it plays in processes like plate tectonics or the Earth's magnetic field.
Yeah, this discovery has really opened up a whole new window into our planet.
It really has. And it's not just about Earth either. I think we're going to see some exciting developments in the field of astrobiology as well.
Right. Because remember, we talked about how the presence of helium could be a sign that a planet captured a lot of hydrogen from its solar nebula early on, which could mean a higher chance of having water.
Exactly. And if you're looking for life, water is a pretty good place to start. So I wouldn't be surprised if astronomers start adding helium detectors to their telescopes.
Helium detectors. So we could be looking for helium as a potential biosignature.
It's definitely a possibility, and that would be huge because it would give us another tool to use in the search for life beyond Earth. You know, right now we're mostly focused on looking for things like oxygen or methane in a planet's atmosphere, but helium could be another piece of the puzzle.
It's amazing to think that something we associate with balloons could actually help us find life on other planets.
I know. It's like science is full of these little surprises, these hidden connections that just waiting to be discovered.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. This deep dive has been a whirlwind of information, but I hope everyone listening has come away with a renewed sense of wonder about the universe and how much we still have to learn.
I second that. There's so much out there still waiting to be explored.
And who knows, maybe one of you listening will be the one to make the next big discovery that changes our understanding of the cosmos.
You never know. The universe is full of possibilities.
So keep asking questions, keep exploring, and never stop diving deep. Until next time, fellow deep divers.